Imagine a place where power and faith are uniquely intertwined, a place where the decisions you make can change the course of history for over 1 billion people around the world. We are talking, of course, about the Vatican. And right now, attention is on a burning question. Who will be the next Pope? Friends, the media is full of speculation about who Francis's successor could be. Behind all these headlines is a deeper and more complex issue, a question that could question the very legitimacy of the next Pope. What would happen if the conclave that elects him was not valid? What would this mean for the Catholic Church? If the conclave that chooses the next Pope is not valid, the locations for the Catholic Church would be deep. It would mean that the new Pope would not have legitimate authority, which could lead to a crisis of leadership and credibility within the Church. And I'm very sorry, but this is what we are experiencing in the Church today. That could generate internal divisions, as we currently see, questioning the legitimacy of decisions made by the elected Pope and potentially even conflicts over who is the true leader of the Church. In addition, it could affect the unity of the Catholic community and its relationship with other religious and political institutions. In this video, we are going to explore a fascinating scenario. What would happen if Cardinal Robert Sarah, a defender of Catholic tradition, were elected Pope? How would this affect the Church and the world? And above all, how does this relate to the question of the validity of the conclave? And dear brothers, there are not many alternatives. So get ready to immerse yourself in a world of Vatican politics, theology, and power. A world where decisions have consequences that go beyond the walls of the Vatican. Hello, I am Javier Suarez, and I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Leave me your opinion in the comments box. And now let's get to know Robert Sarah a little, who many consider the man necessary to unite the Catholic faith again. Okay?
Let's see. Do you think a husband can lessen his love for his wife? How are you going to slow it down? Can a woman lessen her affection for her husband? Our relationship with God is a relationship of love. Doctrine is not a rule. It is an expression of love, and in love, details are very important to express it. Simply put, we're not in love anymore.
In the heart of Africa, in a country called Guinea-Conakry, a man was born who would become an influential figure within the Catholic Church. We are talking about Cardinal Robert Sarah, a spiritual and political leader who has left his mark on the recent history of the Vatican. He was born June 15, 1945. Sarah grew up in an environment marked by poverty and faith. At the age of 11, he entered the minor seminary of Virgenville in Ivory Coast, where he began his path to the priesthood. He was ordained a priest in 69 and soon became a leader within his community. In 79, at the age of 34, Sarah was appointed Archbishop of Conakry, becoming one of the youngest bishops in the world. At that moment, his leadership in Guinea was not easy. He had to face a dictatorial regime and defend the freedom of the Church. In 2001, he was called to the Vatican to serve as Secretary of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples. In 2010, Benedict XVI appointed him President of the Pontifical Corunum Council, and shortly after elevated him to the rank of Cardinal.
Cardinal Robert Sarah.
And in 2014, Bergoglio appointed him Prefect of the Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments, a position he held until 2021. In addition to his ecclesiastical career, Sarah is known for his books and lectures, where he defends the Catholic tradition and criticizes modern ideologies that, according to him, threaten faith and family. His book Dios o Nada became a global bestseller with a clear and firm voice. Sarah has been a tireless defender of Catholic doctrine, which has generated both admiration and controversy. His position on issues such as the liturgy and priestly celibacy has been the subject of debate inside and outside the Vatican. Friends, hang on, because this is where things get interesting. What if, against all odds and challenges from the modernist establishment, Cardinal Robert Sarah ascended to the throne of St. Peter? Prepare for an earthquake in the Vatican. As he has already analyzed thousands of times, Andrea Chonci in the Racing Code and in the Conclave is in the correct interpretation of the world's and the papal ministry. If Sarah, a man who deeply understands this distinction and the manipulation he has suffered coming to the papacy, we could expect a return to tradition with a capital farewell to doctrinal ambiguities and concessions to the modern world. And imagine a church that reaffirms its Catholic identity, that defends natural law, and that firmly opposes the globalist agenda. Sarah as Pope could reverse many of the reforms that have diluted the essence of the faith, from liturgy to morals. We would hear Latin at Mass again and see a clear defense of the traditional family. Of course, this wouldn't be. It had been received by progressive modernists and globalists. They would see Sarah as a threat to their plans for a more open church that adapts to changing times. But the truth is that the church does not need to adapt to the world, but rather transform the world according to the gospel. So the election of Sarah as Pope could be an opportunity to heal the wounds of the church. To restore the faith and to give a clear witness to the truth in such a confused world, it would be a firm blow on the table and a sign that tradition is not dead and that the church is willing to defend its two-millennial legacy. Is this possible? Humanly speaking, the odds might seem low, but as the saying goes, I write law in crooked lines. And in the Vatican, as in life, you never know. Now there is another problem. Even if the holiest of cardinals were elected, this would not be a valid pope. This is because a conclave made after an alleged death or resignation of Berbolius would be invalid, since the latter has usurped the throne of Peter without having the Petrine world. The channel is full of videos that explain these things, and I will leave you in a comment attach some of these videos so that you can document yourself. And attention, these are not compilation theories which are founded on subjective ideas, but objective information that everyone can check in canon law as well as in the apostolic constitutions. Now let's look at the big picture, because the post-Vervolio conclave could have serious problems. Imagine that everything you think you know about Francis's papacy could be based on a lie that dates back to the resignation of Benedict XVI and the conclave that followed. According to Andrea Chonci's exhaustive investigation called Codici Raxin, Benedict did not abdicate completely. He did not renounce to some Petrines the true heart of the papacy, but only the ministry, the practical exercise of power. This means that, in canonical terms, the see was never really vacant. In fact, in his statement, Benedict XVI uses the unusual term "bache," that is, empty, when vacantis is generally used. And I know you're wondering, but Javier, don't be so picky. Is that it, dear friend? It is one thing to speak between us and another to speak in the legal field, where words have meaning and weight. I am a simple operator in the socio-health sector that I want to do on YouTube and inform you about something that few talk about, but in my work I have had the opportunity to meet people from every social and professional rank. Not long ago I asked a retired judge about this difference, and she answered me in simple words. She told me that to understand the difference I have to see the word vacant as something that is freer or has more freedom. On the other hand, just because something is empty does not mean that it is available. And it left me thinking how this lady explained this concept to me in such a simple way, since she is an expert who spent practically her entire life involved in law. And you know what weight words carry. The famous declaration of Benedict XVI, which many interpret as a total renunciation, was actually a subtle maneuver. He used the verb bache to refer to sede vacante. But in Latin, this verb means rather devotes itself to emptiness. This means that Benedict retired to a kind of impeded see, where he remained Pope in essence, although he could not exercise his authority with this interpretation. The 2013 conclave that elected Bergoglio was not valid. The Apostolic Constitution Universi Dominci Gregi is clear. A conclave is only legitimate if the see was cante due to the death or complete resignation of the previous pope. If Benedict did not renounce the muhus, then the conclave was an illegitimate act and everything that has happened since could be called into question. Many may think that this is a conspiracy theory, but the truth is that there are canon law experts who agree with this analysis. The question is not only about who the real pope is, but about the integrity of the system that governs the Catholic Church. And it is now, dear friends, more than ever that it is crucial for the Catholic Church to pause and reflect on its future, because it is not just about who occupies the throne of St. Peter, but about the very essence of faith and the authority that is exercised in the name of God. The truth, whatever it may be, must be revealed so that the Church can move forward with integrity and legitimacy. Is it your turn now? In your opinion, could Cardinal Robert Sarah's election as Pope be a pivotal moment in reviving Catholic Church traditions, or could it cause greater division? Share your perspective in the comments below. Subscribe for more insights on Vatican, geopolitics, and religion. Until our next video.